We're live.
Right, we're live.
Yeah, it wasn't live.
All right.
We got about a 20-second delay.
Okay, yes, looks like we're on. So I'm going to start us over. Sorry for those of you watching. We thought we were live a few minutes ago, so we're just gonna rewind for a moment. But welcome to our March General Assembly for the Baseline Protocol open source community. We will have our standard updates today from the standards group, outreach team, sponsorship, roadmap, TSE, grants, core devs, and some questions from the Ask Me Anything form that was distributed this week. And Andreas, I'm going to hand back over to you. If you could please provide the standards update once more, that would be great.
Sure. I should have recorded them. Anyway, welcome everyone. Brief update from standards. We're in the middle of working through issues that have been raised in the standards repo. Please, actually, Sonal, if you could share the repo link, that would be great, so that everybody also on YouTube has it. And making editorial changes to the draft version such that we can move it along to full draft, and then final project standard sometime this year, and then hopefully moving on to a full OASIS standard in 2023. We are also working on, so that's exciting work. Oh, well, exciting. We're having fun discussions. So it's and vigorous. Check out the issues. It will and please raise more issues, read it, make suggestions. That's really important. We'll have more work items focused primarily, very likely around interop. We just have to talk about that in more detail. That interop work item will then also allow us to interface with two other groups that are working in the space. One is the EEA interop working group. They're coming out with, they have a draft standard for interop. So that's going to be really interesting and exciting to interface with them and see where things are at, as well as the EA communities project for layer 2s. They're also focusing on one of the work items is also interop between L2s. And since baseline can be interpreted as a kind of L2 if you're operating it at scale, then it all falls into the same pot, the same category, and that is a very important intersection that we will be focusing on the rest of the year. So please join, even though it's a standards body, so it can be sometimes a bit dull. But our discussions are definitely not. They're very lively and heated, and to the point. So if you enjoy people going at it, join the calls, grab your popcorn, grab a coffee, and watch and contribute if you want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I can attest they are heated, but very fun. And over to Mark Haddle for outreach updates.
And I would definitely say it's certainly never dull watching the sausage being made. And that's really how it's all done, down in the standards body and stuff. But update from outreach. Outreach has been hard at work pretty much, the whole time there. We're not waiting on, certain milestone events, and then it's like, okay, now we can start putting together some content for this. And to that vein, we basically kind of started distilling our team down into some more specialized work groups, because we have such a, broad menagerie of backgrounds and cross functionalities that we want to make sure that everybody is in a position to where they can lend the best insights for content that's going to be focused to certain industries and to certain use cases. to that end, we're also been lining up a slew of great speakers for the Baseline show. And if you want to get involved, we definitely encourage you. We actually have made it as easy as possible. Is we have put together a kind of a checklist, an outline form for people to come in and lend their insights to the show. We're looking for basically anybody from any background, really. I mean, even if you have a background in, I don't know, soap carving, we'd love to hear about it, because it's one of those, you have any idea how it's going to actually put together. So we're also looking at curating a lot of the events that are coming up within the next year that we want to be able to showcase Baseline Protocol. It's getting so much attention right now, and it's almost like we can't get out there quick enough to really put a good face in showcasing this. So, and also for that, we are starting to put together formal processes for packaging work so that, all of the great work that's being done across the core devs and the standards body, have the proper coverage and are being released as needed. Plus, we're doing, basic housekeeping. We want to make sure the repos are nice and clean. And make sure everything just is easy to find for somebody that wants to go in and read the docs and check out the code. So that's really what's been going on within the outreach community for now.
Thank you. And John, you wanted to hop in and add an update for outreach?
Yeah, everybody here up in Ethereal in Sunny Park or Jack Hole, Wyoming. And a couple of things. I'm not sure how long I can stay on. Got to go and do the conference. I will be on later around 3:00 Mountain Time on a panel talking largely about zero knowledge with some really great folks. I think one of them from Chainlink and from CSI and others. It's going to be a good panel. But reach out to me. I'll keep an eye on the Baseline Slack. DM me with anything you'd like me to maybe plug that you think is appropriate for me to bring up on that panel. Happy to do it, and as long as it's appropriate, and I can find a way of weaving it into the natural conversation. Let me tell you a story. Last night I was at an event that the camp was having, and everybody was milling around, and there was this guy. I'd never met him before. It was nothing to do with consensus or anything like that. But he got really excited, and he's like, "I got to show you this thing." And you wouldn't believe he pulls up a message from one of the developers that worked on Battleship, and he's like, "You got to check this out. this Battleship game. No kidding. I'm not kidding. It was like such a weird small world." So if anybody on the Battleship team, any of the Battleship teams, whether it's Jack or the rest of the gang, you're making an impact. People, I was kind of flummoxed. I was like, whoa. Just somebody making small talk at a bar brings up our Battleship game. So well done.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And over to Carol for sponsorship updates.
Okay. I apologize for my video not working this morning. We are excited that Envision Blockchain is the newest Baseline sponsor. They came on board just a couple of weeks ago, and we are working on a press release. EEA's PR team is on that, and that should be out very soon. And we're continuing trying to find sponsors in new areas. And so we're doing some outreach in the partner relationship management, trying to get the Salesforce and Salesforce-like kind of companies in that space through channel marketing involved. We are moving ahead with our Get Baseline feature, which is a page on the website where that directly connects the sponsors with people who are looking for products or services that can help them get baselined. And we are excited that we have the initial postings that we're going to be getting. You should see them on the website this week, if not today or tomorrow. And those are the initial ones, and more will be added as sponsors come on board with more mature projects or products and services that we can list. So we think that's going to be really popular, both with sponsors, prospective sponsors, and really help buyers get plugged in to who they need to talk to.
Awesome.
I guess that's it. Yeah.
Thank you. And quickly, I will cover a roadmap update. So as many of you know, we went through a lengthy initiative to do some one-to-one sessions with each of the TSC members, and then did a 2-hour road mapping session last week. So the outcome of that is a roadmap deliverable that I will be sharing in the next day or two. I have the draft complete. And some of the key takeaways were that since the standards has been written and it's going through the ratification process, some of the next immediate priorities are around having a simple reference implementation, a test harness, an implementation guide, a running test service, so like an AWS instance with a beating heart for implementers to test out their reference implementations in compliance with the standard, software development kits, Hello World chunks. So a lot of these pieces go together and they're all concurrent with the main focus, which is a simple reference implementation, which a lot of these pieces will come along with. So for example, an implementation guide will be built for developers implementing baseline for their processes, as well as some enablement material and developer journey material. So recording these sessions that our core devs will go through as they're developing this simple reference implementation. So that will be posted sometime this week. And then our core devs will be down in the weeds starting to develop and work through some of these things. And we anticipate having grant funds allocated to a lot of the work being done. So if you're out there and interested, please sign up to join our teams, and they're about to get busy. And I will also quickly cover that our grant process has been revamped for this year. It's a little cleaner and more direct with some steps. I will post the link in the chat. And we have one grant already approved for the website overhaul that was done by Boy. I'm sure you've seen our new website. And we also have 2 RFPs that were submitted that any group or company can take on. And Andreas, if you could quickly cover those RFPs and give a little more context, that would be great.
Yes, absolutely. And I had this Ori was on, but he's no longer, sadly. So let me because he was working on one of a related grant that we did last year. So just a little bit of history before I go into that. So last year we did 2 grants related to identities and wallets. One was to actually upgrade the DIT element, which is an Ethereum-based DIT method, to be fully Site-Tree spec compliant, and integrating that implementation directly into BRI1, such that you have now a scalable DIT method that is Ethereum-based, directly available in a reference implementation. Unfortunately, this is all still managed centrally, so in a custodial manner. What these 2 new grants are about is making these things non-custodial. So managing keys on the client side, so the end user side, rather than on the baseline compute stack side. Why is that relevant? Well, you want to be able to control your keys, and you want to, but not only your keys, but also your digital assets, right? Because you will have, you don't want to have a wallet for your baseline, and then you have MetaMask or whatever other wallet you're using. So what we're doing, what grant number 1 is about, is integrating DIT key management with traditional digital asset wallets, so an open source reference implementation of that is compliant with what currently wallets are doing, so which is BIP 39 and BIP 44. together with the standard out of W3C, which is the universal wallet. So that's one. So now you can manage your identity together with your digital assets that are, for example, also coming out of Baseline. If you have invoices and you want to tokenize them, so that's all good. The
Hey,
other
Andreas,
one,
can I ask a
yes.
question there real quick? So,
Sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, what you want to be able to do is very quickly, kind of like you do with Slack. You want to say, I've got members, I've got users, I've got entities, and I need to slap them together without having to, scratch my head about how to go about doing it. Right. And this is about ACLs. This is about, and this isn't something that should be platform specific. It should be more universal. I've been calling it the yellow pages or the phone book for a long time.
Yeah.
How much closer will this get us to that? And what are the gaps still to that? I mean, in other words, I need to not only know that I'm dealing with company X, but I'm dealing with an authorized person in company X who has, the appropriate authorizations.
Right. So in order to do that other person, authorized person, actually needs to be able to prove that they are authorized and that they are actually controlling the keys. So the very first step in order to be able to actually have that, what you want, is that you have non-custodial key management around decentralized identifiers and the associated verifiable credentials, which are part in the standards, are recommended to be implemented to prove who you actually are.
Well, it sounds like also I need a popularization of all of that connecting to a company's LDAP or Active Directory, right?
That is true. That's why you have a verifiable credential, which you can wrap a verifiable credential around your X509 that comes out of your LDAP or it's like the CA that you're the certificate authority that you're using. The reason why you want to have an open reference implementation, it allows you to easily integrate now your LDAP into your wallet, and issuing, basically wrapping your X509, which is company specific and no one else really understands unless they use the same certificate authority. They can now utilize the verifiable credential standards together with DIDs to be able to say, oh, okay, this is an X509. Oh, yes, and the keys match. Okay, so I don't have to understand much about X509s, about the details. I can match keys and I can match to my DIDs, and I know that I'm talking to
well, that would be
authorized.
Aside from all of the more esoteric stuff, it seems to me that it would be a heck of a good grant at some point, now or later. I certainly would vote for funding a toolkit made that made it extremely easy to go from X509 to and
right.
dial all of this in.
In order to do that,
at least a cookbook, if not an actual toolkit.
In order to do that, you need to have you need to have that wallet that allows you to do the things that you're doing anyway. Because again, you don't want to have, you don't have a wallet for your credit cards and your wallet for your driver's license and a wallet for your membership cards. You have a wallet, right? So which actually brings me to the next grant, which is also very important. And you can apply for those two grants individually or together. This one is actually integrating our old beloved keys that are necessary for zero knowledge proofs, right? Baseline is all about zero knowledge proofs, which means we have, unfortunately, a very difficult time managing the keys that are required for those zero knowledge proofs, because they are very specific cryptographic curves and algorithms that are not supported in your everyday wallet. So, which is really bad, because not only can you if you had integrated these special cryptographic curves called EDDSA curves in a regular wallet, not only would you be able to then to do baselining with one wallet, but you could also now integrate with your favorite ZK rollup L2, whether that is it's like ZK Sync or AdStack or Loop Ring or Alio or Immutable X, what have you not. They're all using these curves, and now you can actually manage your assets on L2s, your mass assets on L1s, and
kudos to our very own Louise Hamilton for having
right.
donated the code to open source for MetaMask to handle EDDSA, which is partly how we were able
externally
to
still though.
It's externally, but it's
still
it was a great step forward.
Right. It was a great step forward. Now the next step is to actually integrate that into the into a wallet itself, so you can actually easily generate all the keys that you need and manage them yourself. So manage all of your assets. So truly create a wallet, right? Whether it's an enterprise wallet or an individual or a delegated wallet. Thank you for DITs. Now you can do all of that, right? If you don't have that, you can't do delegation approvably, etc. So once you have that all integrated into a wallet, you can really do non-custodial asset management, baselining, and provable delegation, which is absolutely key for enterprises in which they currently cannot do at all. So it's those are two very important foundational grants that need to be in place before we can start integrating with enterprises and start integrating with other CAs or federated CAs that are coming up. So very, very important. Please, if you're in the DIT and VC space, or if you're in the ZK rollup space, and it's the dirtiest secret of ZK rollups that there's no wallet. They're all custodial keys. So so please apply for the grant. They're actually fairly substantial. $30,000 and $15,000 because the work is substantial. So looking forward to you applying. So now, if you could post the links to those two grants on the YouTube chat, that would be awesome.
Yes, got it. And I'm also going to share across the LinkedIn and other accounts. Awesome.
Yes,
that
would be yeah, please. Those are foundational things. So we laid the first layer of foundation last year. Now we're building the second foundational layer. And once we have that in place, then we can actually build sensible applications with that in a truly federated manner.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Any questions or comments from this group on the grant RFPs that Andreas just covered? All right, so moving on to some core dev updates. So we had a core dev meeting on Monday, and as I mentioned, our core devs will be starting to focus on these roadmap items, a lot of which will build directly off of the Blip 6 monolithic test suite work that was completed. And we also have some of our core devs here who will provide a couple updates. So over to Martin and Thomas to give us a brief update on Blip 1 work.
Yeah, unfortunately, not much of work has been done in the last few weeks in Blip 1, although Martin and me are working we started working on when to use zero knowledge proof and when to use baseline, even for which work steps and which workflows is necessary to do it. And what we started to morph our question into was more like, what does baseline even mean? And we now came to a conclusion. I think we are starting to manage to form a model for ourselves. We had a longish call with John last week, who gave us a lot of insights into the creation of baseline, and it helped a lot. And I think there should be a new meeting, a Blip1 meeting coming up in the next week or the week after, I think. And I think we should be able to get things done after that and come up with some documents helping people to decide when to use what part of baseline.
Awesome. Thank you. And that seems to go hand in hand with some of the research work that's going on in the research work group. Keith, would you like to touch on that at all?
Yeah, just in addition to what Thomas has said, if you would like to join the research meetings to see what's going on there, we have particular and various groups of people at the most parts coming up with great ideas of applications of baselines, all the way from people within their first 4-year degree to master's degrees to PhDs, giving presentations, creating use patterns for us that can eventually be plugged through the decision-making flow that Thomas and Martin are coming up with.
Yes, thank you. And all of this ties directly back to the roadmap. So once that's published, there will be a clear depiction on these priorities and how they all go hand in hand. And I will now hand over to Yoav to give an update on Dev Connect.
Alrighty, thank you, Sonal. So just a quick disclaimer, we're still in the process of finalizing all of the logistics for Dev Connect and the event itself. So anything that I mention here could change. But with that out of the way, I'd like to announce that Baseline is planning to have a presence at Dev Connect. And if you don't know, Dev Connect is an event going on in Amsterdam, April 18th to April 25th. So on top of the in-person event in Amsterdam, we're looking to host a 6-week-long virtual Blip bounty event. So we'll open this up 4 weeks before our in-person event in Amsterdam and then close it up 2 weeks after. And at the beginning of that event, once it kicks off, a list of Dev Connect related blips will be published to our repo. And for the 6-week duration of this event, all of these blips will have grants associated with them. So we will open up the Baseline Dev Connect Discord server. Participants can form groups, get together, use voice channels, or assist each other, come to us for technical assistance, and work together to knock out as many blips as they can and really rack up their bounties. And our aim here is to get the community involved, regardless of whether you can attend in person or attend virtually, and give our devs something that they can look forward to and something that they can get to work on.
Awesome. Thank you. And for anybody on this call or listening, feel free to propose any blips to the repo on projects that you would like to see get done by the group. And any other updates from this group on Baseline to cover for our formal General Assembly? All right. If not, I will first hand over to a few people on this call to give some updates on things they're working on. And then I will go through some of our Ask Me Anything questions that from the public for anybody here to answer. But first, I would like to hand over to Anton from Mover to give an update on some of the work he's been doing to support Ukraine. Please share with us what you've been up to, Anton, and how we can all help.
Thanks, Sonal. I guess from my accent, not many of you actually know that I'm Ukrainian. So I was born in Ukraine, and that's where my family lives actually, and they are still in Ukraine. It's been very turbulent last 2 weeks, to be honest. And then that's why we've missed quite a lot on obviously like other areas of work. But as me being Ukrainian, and moreover, my wife, she was there on Thursday when this all happened. It was just without the glimpse of a thought that we decided to act. So throughout this 2 weeks, we've organized, which is now one of the biggest information portals with like pretty much live updated information on how you can get out of Ukraine, what you should do, how does the immigration, how does the evacuation process work. And it's been more than 500,000 Ukrainians that use this website for basically various bits of information. We've also launched a campaign to help get UK tech national visas for Ukrainians. As you know, a lot of countries they've made adjustments for visa processes for Ukrainians. Unfortunately, not the UK. That's where I live. So instead, we've organized a group of lawyers and people who passed through this visa program that will help a lot of talented Ukrainians, and not just Ukrainians. Again, it's open to anyone. It's just that the focus is there right now. And lastly, the third thing is this last 2 weeks we've organized the on the ground volunteer group in my hometown, Dnipro. That's where my family also lives. So they're now also helping run the volunteer group. I'm not going to get into the details and the daily situation, because it is heartbreaking. It is absolutely disgusting what's happening and what's going on. And I do not have the good news on what's going on there, but the only good news that I have is the amazing work that people on the ground do there right now. So the volunteer group that we've organized, they've established 3 food points, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's the only option that some people can get hot food throughout the city right now, which includes a lot of senior people and a lot of evacuated orphanages. So all I'm saying, it's just hard to interpret and hard to grasp for someone that sort of like, you don't hear the shelling, right? You don't hear the bombs, you don't hear the air raid sirens, and it feels surreal. And it feels like it's not real. It feels like it's not happening, but unfortunately, that's the reality. To give you a bit of a sense of how bad things are, just according to the UN as of this morning, it was close to 2 million people that officially fled the country. So that does not give you a good representation on what's going on. Because it's just the people who fled the country. It does not tell you anything about the people that currently remain, in the country. So ultimately, what we do is we focus on humanitarian only work. We try to do everything possible to help people evacuate, and for those that for any reason cannot leave or decide to stay, because it is their home, it is their land, it's the houses that they've built, it's the streets they walk. We tried to do everything possible to get establish the logistics and supplies to get essential assets and essential food. So that's what we're doing there. We launched numerous as I said, like initiatives. So from information portal to visa help to finally this humanitarian fundraising program. I'm not advocating or doing anything to tell anybody to join the efforts or to join, or help in any way. There's, I probably just wanted, as a final remark, to say that it's actually, I am shocked in a good way of how helpful and how supportive the world has been. In the last 2 weeks, I spoke probably to now getting close to 1,000 different families, different people. And the amount of support that I received, that they received, and the amount of help that people are doing, with no regards to what their nationality is, where they are, whichever way they help, is absolutely tremendous. And to me, I think it's also just one of the key, I would say, elements of crypto. Crypto is borderless. Crypto is about collaborative efforts on a joint mission. And if you think about helping people that are immediately in need as a mission, everybody, everybody that surrounds me and everybody that I get a chance to talk to and actually get connected to in the last 2 weeks, it's been absolutely fantastic and amazing. So that's yes, that's just a final word. Sorry, John is asking if there's any way to support and help. So every crisis ends. There's no crisis that stays there indefinitely. And the way that we can help is if you are hiring, just show more information. So tell it explicitly that you are hiring. There's a lot of talented people that had their businesses closed, had their jobs basically made them non-existent right now. And there's a lot of talented people with no regards to their nationality that will be looking for jobs. So I think that's the best way that we could support people, because again, this is the only sustainable way that we can help recover, Ukrainian economy or global economy, which is now all interconnected. We all see what's happening. So I think that's probably the most efficient and the best way is helping others by, if I can say, helping yourself. So it's not about giving, free things. It's about making sure that we give a chance for someone to, to show off themselves, to show that they can do something and to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us and for joining us today and for all of the efforts that you're leading. All right. And now we are going to segue into some of our Ask Me Anything. And Anton, if you have any links you could share, I'd be happy to post that across some of our channels as well. Thank you again. All right, we are going to jump in to our Ask Me Anything. So these are for questions from the community for anybody here to answer. So please speak up if you have an answer to one of these. And this one might be for our NLabs folks here. So it says, one use case for Baseline is small companies looking to sell invoices. Is this a common practice? And if so, what marketplace is this serving? Are there specific companies that would like to use this invoice factoring? So
I'll jump in. Yes, there are actually there are a couple of pools currently on Tin Lake that provide trade financing for invoices, different markets depending on what geographic market you're in. We're also looking to put together a trade finance pool, a little bit larger in size, probably closer to hundreds of millions of dollars in size, but that work is probably a couple quarters away, and we're doing that in conjunction with our partners at Provide. Ultimately, what we're doing at this point is trying to instrument the process, automate the process, and squeeze the cost out of it so that we could lower the barriers to entry for borrowers. Right now, a lot of these capabilities are really only available to larger companies with enough volume and invoice volume that it makes sense. But as the costs come down, it becomes easier to put them together. It should be more open to smaller and smaller parties. So that's our hope, and that's where we're going.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other additions about invoices and baselining from the group?
And we are pursuing a couple projects where baselining is critical for getting the asset data all the way to essentially the funders under zero knowledge in a trustworthy way without actually putting data publicly anywhere. So baseline does play a part in a number of the projects that we're working on as well.
Awesome. Super cool. Look forward to hearing more about that and sharing the news with the baseline community. All right. Another question is, what types of businesses need baseline or should be using it but don't know it?
I could answer that. Fintech. If you are a fintech company, you need baseline, and the sooner you realize it, the better it is.
Thank you.
On the past week's Baseline Show India, we presented a case to Baseline Tesla supply chain. Thanks to Mark, Keith, and Yoav.
hate to go so general, but anytime you need to share data that you don't want to actually give the data away, right? Healthcare, right? Mark, I'm sure you've seen this in healthcare. Equethereum, those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody asked me, I think there's a really good hunting ground for baselining pattern opportunities where you can apply the design pattern in web services, Nick. I mean, we helped build the API economy, and Kin Lane and all those folks. Now that we've got this, spaghetti of API economy stuff out there, and you have web services everywhere, you've got, like, for example, the ServiceNow marketplace, you've got the Salesforce marketplace, you have the SAP, you have all these different web services, and you want to get them strung together. And when I can't remember ever not having a moment when I was trying to string web services together where I wasn't super creeped out by how much those service providers have to have clear text on, from each other, from me, from the different entities involved. Just try to do an IFT and go, oh my God, no, I don't want. I just don't know where my information security is going to get breached. It's just a giant threat surface. So that's a great example of just look in any kind of set of web services and say, oh yeah, well, we could baseline these for web services, especially if they're across, like there's a web service in Salesforce and a web service in ServiceNow. That especially is good, because technically, if you have all the web services in one platform, like a Salesforce, you could say that each of them probably is okay with using that platform, like a Salesforce, as the ordering service, in a common frame of reference, at which point you have less reason to have a CCSM. But especially when you have web services running across these marketplaces, and there is no common frame of reference, that's a good opportunity for baseline.
Would it be fair to say, John, that it allows you to add a bit of state to a traditionally stateless kind of interaction?
Well, I mean,
is that a bridge too far?
You can daisy chain state across a bunch of web services, as you know. But yeah, it's just hinky, and it's a loose coupling design pattern is nicer, right? Mm-hmm. And just have all the web services pub subbed to, that Merkle tree that you've got on a CCSM in a public place, and just say, okay, when you're going to do this thing, but only when you see some gobbledygook show up in this Merkle tree, and then you're going to run it, validate, and if it validates, then do your thing. You just, I know that's still meta, that's very high level, but I think that the pattern is, I think anybody with the lights on would be able to just go in and just start mining web service to say, boy, I could do these 5 things, and I would be a lot less creeped out about it if I did it this way.
Transaction ordering for any exchange, even traditional exchanges, right? You could say these transactions came in the sequence, and that's and they need to be processed in this sequence, without revealing actually what the details of those transactions are. It's a relatively straightforward membership.
Yeah, like purchase orders meets VAT, right? Like any country that's doing VAT, value added transaction tax.
Yeah.
And you have multiple companies that are doing purchase orders that all have to, roll up into a single purchase order. That goes right back to that original case that we did with Ernst & Young years ago, right? I need to know that the discount rate was applied correctly in sequence, and not by mistake having 2 purchase orders for 100 units, neither of which gets the over 100 units discount, because they were processed separately and not sequentially, right? It's just very simple, banal case. One of those 2 invoices needs a discount, and neither of them got it.
I mean, you could, or you just create a transaction ordering service for, say, Ethereum, which you can. I'm sure people would be paying attention to that if you wanted to build that as a use case, and just publish it. This should be the next block. If it's not, It's a very simple thing to do. The mempool is open for everyone. So that might actually be, if someone wanted to do something really sensible and doing good for the community, that would be that. And have it as an oracle. I'm sure Chainlink would happily publish that oracle for free. Just saying.
Sounds like a Dev Connect blip to me. All right. And one of the last questions that I'll address today really quickly from the group was that one question was, which members of the baseline developer community are really pushing for the project in 2022? And that's hard to answer because I personally talk with each of the core devs and help them determine what efforts they want to be part of and what skills they want to brush up on. But going forward, we will actually begin highlighting a core dev each month, probably in our general assemblies, maybe in some other calls, but we plan to start featuring our core devs and having them join our shows to introduce themselves and tell us more about who they are, what they're interested in, and how they're contributing. But I would say pretty much all of the core devs are very valuable. They bring a wide range of backgrounds and skills and expertises. So it's been really great to watch this group begin forming and growing together. And with that, that is my last question for today. Any final words from this group before we wrap up?
Come all to Amsterdam.
I did want to remind folks the Provide Oasis stakeholders briefing. It's actually next week on St. Patty's Day. It's at 11 a.m. And if you'd like an invite, please reach out to Carol Geyer. I'll put her email in the chat with the note.
Awesome. Thank you. All right.
And bring your green beer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. John, let us know if there ends up being a live stream for the ZK panel today. And with that, this was another great General Assembly from the Baseline Protocol community. Thank you all for joining our live studio audience and those of you who watched, and hope to see you next Wednesday and in every call going forward. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you all. Cheers.
Thank you.